starting off with some tricks that you can use for your lab reports. First of all, Subscript. So if I want to type in the formula for copper nitrate, there we go. Copper nitrate actually has this 3 down below the O and this 2 down below as well. If you type it this way, it doesn't look that nice. So there's something called Subscript that can be used to help out with this. And so I can highlight this, left click and hold, and under Format, Text, and there it is, Subscript. And so we go ahead and do that, and it's now number 2. The other thing you can do to get Subscript, I can highlight this as well. I'm going to do the format thing first, but this isn't necessary, just to show you back where I was. If you look under Subscript right here, it's got Subscript and it shows the picture, but right here it says Control, and it was a plus, but the plus just means and. So hold down Control and then press this comma. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to hold down Control and press the comma button, and that's called a hotkey. And that does it for me. And that's actually kind of nice because look at this number 2. If I want to start typing again, it's all in Subscript. So instead, I can use the hotkey and say, okay, I'm going to put in a different one, magnesium chloride. I need to go to Subscript. Instead of me going to the menu every time, I can hold on Control and the comma and type it in, and then I can press it again, Control and comma, it brings me back. Now I am back to normal. Just can't spell, that's all. And so that's a very useful thing to use, the Subscript. It makes them looks your formulas look much nicer when you're using that instead of doing it without it. Similar to Subscript is Superscript, and it's right by here. And I can do that if I was typing, let's say, x squared. I could do it that way. And I believe the hotkey for this is Control period, and that will get me into Superscript or out of Superscript. Okay, the next thing to do. If you're typing in a value, 1.0 grams, let's say, but I got to put my uncertainties in here. So sometimes a lot of people want to put in, this sort of thing. And that looks okay to have it typed this way, but I'd recommend instead using the symbol for that. So instead of doing this, I'm just going to erase this. I'm going to go under Insert, and it's Special Characters. And I'm looking for the plus/minus symbol. And so I could go through and I could search all this stuff, like maybe categories, maybe this is, where are you, math? Is there even a math number, let's say, I don't know, and see if I can find it, and I can scroll, and I'd be like searching for all kinds of different things that they have here. And that can be kind of tough to do. So instead of me searching exactly how to do it, maybe I'm going to type in plus, because I'm thinking it's plus/minus. And if I look, just by typing in that, there it is right there, the plus/minus sign. And I will just put left click on it, and it puts it right in there for me. And then I might have to format it a little bit. Oh, I must have typed something else or something. And now that's a much better looking symbol than to actually have in the plus/minus. And if I ever want to use it again, let's say, hey, 2.0, and I want to use that plus/minus thing, I could go to Special Characters and insert it again. Or I could just highlight it and then Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste, and I could then continue typing on. Let's see, some other symbols that might be useful under the Special Characters. Let's see if a dot pulls up what I want. Sometimes you want to have like the little mathematical dot that's kind of in the middle. Let's try period. Maybe it's a bigger one. Multiplicate. Okay, anyway, there's a lot of symbols here. But what I was kind of looking for was one of these dots maybe to put in the middle of some numbers to make it, in case you're doing some number times another. The other one that's really common, though, to use would be the degree symbol. And if I just type in degree, you can see I have this. And so if I want to type in something like 20 degrees C, I could have that in there also. So those are just some common symbols that you'd want to put in there. All right, I found the special character location, the dot I was looking for. Categories, symbol. Symbol has a lot of good things here, like arrows and stuff, but I went to math, and there it is right there. That was that bullet operator that sometimes can be useful to use. It just puts, I don't know if you can see this real well. If I zoom in, it puts that little dot right there. That could sometimes be nice to see. Okay. Anyway, that's it for the symbols. You can play around with that and see what might be useful and what might not be. All right, the next thing to do then would be for equations. And typically this new equation bar would not be there, and so it looks just like this. And so I can go under Insert, and right below Special Characters is Equation, and it kind of sets up this box right here. And I have all these things I can add to my equation. I can use any of these Greek symbols. There's some more of those dot operators that could put it in there. Here's a plus minus sign, times like this or like that. I'm not sure what all these things mean. You have an infinity sign and so on. Got your greater than, less than, about, equals, the definition symbol. These would be things that if I was trying to type up or down onto some text. I'll show you, I'll use this one, and maybe I'll show you with this one as well. And then these would just be some arrows that you could use. So let's say I want to type in the density formula. Whoops, I'll go back in there. Density equals, and now I want mass over volume, and I want it in that fraction form. So I could go up to this thing here, math operations, and actually click on the fractions here, and it puts me up top, and then I type in mass, and I use my right arrow key, and it puts me down below, and I can type in volume. And now I have this in the nice equation editor. The one problem I think with Google though is that a lot of times these equations, this looks kind of tiny and it's hard to read. So if I just highlight this whole thing, don't highlight it within the box because then it doesn't seem to work. You got to highlight the whole thing, and I can go up here and change my font size. Maybe I want to make those 14 point or something just to make it look like it's actually like the normal text is. But be careful, I might have to change my font size back down to 11 if I want to do normal text again. The other thing that might be new and nice in equation, now by the way, once I put one equation in, it kind of has a little bar here, and I don't have to go to Insert. I could just click on New Equation again. It would be this symbol, where is it? Either this one or one of these two, where you have text and then you have some sort of subscript or superscript. It's important to click on that before you do the typing. So let's say I just click on that and I want to type in magnesium. I'll hit the right arrow key right after the magnesium. So I just typed in magnesium. I hit the right arrow key, puts down below. And let's say I want to type in, its atomic number. And then I hit the right arrow key again. Let's say I want to type in its charge. I could do that. And if I hit it again, I can go back to text that might be inside here. And if I click out of the box, it'll work. So you might also end up using that subscript, superscript within the equation editor. Okay, lastly would be the tables. You're going to need to be able to insert tables. So insert, and I go to table, and it kind of lets me select what I want. You could see, I can't move my cursor there, otherwise it moves it. Right now I have a 5x1 table, 5x2, 5x3. Maybe I think I want 4x3 or whatever. I'll click that in, and then I get the table there, and it always starts with the cursor on the right side. Now, what I might do is I might highlight this top row, and this is the alignment. Right now it's on the left side. It's left justified, meaning when I type the text, it's going to start from the left side. If I want everything centered, I might click on, the center button. There we go. And okay, this is centered now. Maybe I want my titles to be bolded. So I might highlight all these and click the B key or Control B if you're using a PC, and it makes a nice sort of bolded thing. If for some reason I forgot a column, I could always be, let's say I click in here, I'm going to right click now, and I can insert a column to the left or to the right of this. If I want to add a row above or below, I could also use those sorts of things. If I put this row in and think, hey, I don't want that row, I could highlight it and right click, and I could delete the whole row. Similarly, if I have my column highlighted and I right click on it, it'll let me delete the column. So it lets me do all kinds of stuff there. The other thing that might happen is you might think, you know what, I want this to be like a title or some sort. I could take this and highlight those three, and when I do, I can right click and do merge cells, and it makes it now all of one cell. And that can be kind of useful. I could also do it, going this way as well. That could be kind of useful for like setting up some like neat sort of tables. Like I could merge these, although this would look goofy if I do it right here, but I could do that. And I'm just going to undo all this stuff with Control Z to make this work. So those are some things that can be done with the table. Typically, if you're putting in numbers, typically in science, it looks kind of bad, to like just type in the numbers like this. And so a very common way to display numbers, one would be to center them. So go back up here and center. But actually, more common than centering, sometimes centering is okay, more common than that is actually the right justify. And that way all your decimal places and stuff line up. So like if this was 135, and let's say this was 11.23. These things look nice and neat and lined up. So right justification is very common in science to do that. Now, as far as uncertainties in units go, a good common trick would be to put the units inside the column heading. And that way I don't need to type in milliliters and milliliters and grams on every single number. For density, maybe I want to use the equation editor one and do this and put grams, milliliter, and think, oh yeah, that looks kind of tiny, but I can always, increase the font size on it a little bit to make it look a little bit better. So you can do that kind of stuff. Let's see, what else? Let's say I get to this row here and I think, oh, I'd like to add another row. We could right-click and do Insert Row Below. I could just also hit the Tab key. And when I do that, it automatically just adds on another row very quickly for me. Let's see. Last thing might be as far as these borders go. Maybe you want to get creative with your table and you want to kind of keep the table format, but you want lines to disappear. Maybe for some reason I want this as part of a table. Like say I want this in this spot right here, let's say. And I don't want it to show like it's a table. I can click on this line. And when I do that, it brings up this little bit different sort of editing bar. And I can change the color from black to white. And I can do that with this one. Unfortunately, it's really tedious. I don't know that there's another way to do this. But to do these these lines all like one at a time. But it can be done. So this way you can still have the table being there, yet the borders don't show. Since I've started this, I might as well finish it. So like here, I could have it like hanging off the side and get that goofy table. But you know what? I don't even need borders for that one. Like I could get rid of all of these and make it look like that is not part of the table, that text that's right there, but yet that it still is part of the table. So even though this looks like it's not, it actually is. You have different things. Okay, so there's many tricks. Obviously, I don't have enough time to show them all to you, but this is maybe enough to get you started with some of the stuff that you might want to do.